So you have Sans from Undertale. Now redesign him just a tad and add a little bit of new lore on top of him, and now you have your corrupted Sans. Welcome to Undertale AUs! Undertale AUs are kinda cool. They allow for users to expand on the previously established lore of Undertale and allows them to make their own interpretation of the Undertale story come to life. For example, if you wanted to explore the concept of the events of what happened in Undertale after Pacifist, then you can do that. Famously though, there are a bunch of Undertale AUs regarding Sans. Most of them are through fan video games, altering the way the initial Sans fight at the end of Undertale Genocide originally functioned. So today, I decided, why don't we hop into the weird world of Undertale Sans AUs, because trust me, it's weird. Make sure to like and subscribe, enjoy the video. Starting off with Bad Time Simulator. This one is pretty popular among the Undertale fanbase, as it allows others to practice their skills against Sans, as Sans is a pretty hard boss. It's technically not an AU, but it's a custom Sans fight regardless. I mean, you can do anything with this game. Play the game normally or practice to your heart's content. But before you actually play the game, you have to make the game bigger. And by doing that, you just scroll a bunch of times back and forth, and magically the game is just infinitely larger than it was to start with. Why is this a thing? The mechanics are a little bit different from the actual Undertale, but seriously, this game is a really good practice tool for the real deal. I mean, you can practice anything in this game, even the spare sequence. This is the best thing ever. Bad Time Simulator does support custom attacks too, but I could never get one working, at least for me, nor do I have the patience to actually go out of my way to get it working. I don't think that's a huge letdown though, considering there's a bunch of practice tools at your disposal, which is definitely the highlight of this game. Next up is Deltarune Sans Fight by Just a Dog. The name of this AU pretty much says it all. It takes place after Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 wasn't out yet, and here you play as Kris in the light world and you battle Sans. Despite there not being much of a story here, the fight itself is definitely the best part of this game. It supplies you with a limited number of items, so you're much more restricted than Undertale, and that's what makes this boss fight hard. It's not like it takes attacks from Undertale either. This is a completely original boss battle. It feels exactly how fighting Sans would be in Deltarune if it were to ever happen. I mean, you have a Gaster blaster sitting next to Sans. Now that image alone is satisfying. Undertale Last Breath, probably one of the most famous Undertale Sans fight AUs. And this game has an original story to go along with it. That's pretty cool. There's 3 different phases in Undertale Last Breath. The first phase is pretty much the normal Sans battle from Undertale. A lot of the attacks though are definitely new, and the difficulty is just a little bit higher than the original Sans battle. But phase 2 is where it gets interesting, as instead of dodging, Sans starts to block your attacks, and the attacks get much harder as it introduces a new mechanic where the screen flips upside down, but the controls don't, which is extremely disorienting. The hardest phase though is phase 3, where Gaster teams up with Sans, and the two of them destroy all your button options. Well, I guess they aren't too happy with me. Wait until I tell them about gas prices. This final phase prohibits you from fighting, so it's just a survival to the finish, and the game combines the screen flipping and orange and blue attacks, and the visuals make it hard to see your soul. This is easily the hardest fight in this entire video. I didn't even get a chance. Overall, a lot of these fan games are top-notch quality, but we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Scratch the surface. Yeah, so Scratch has a ton of Sans Battles games, to nobody's surprise. Most of them are remixes of existing fan games, while a couple here and there are original. For example, we have the Undertale Sans fight, where I died on the first turn. Great. And then I tried again. And I died on the first turn again. I think the problem with Undertale Sans here is that you only have 20 HP and there aren't invincibility frames, which makes this much harder than it needs to be. Can't really grant an opinion on this battle because I can't play it. But next up we have Ink Sans. This one looked promising for a moment and it looks a little bit more tame compared to the Undertale Sans battle, and then my soul got stuck and I couldn't move. Can't really grant an opinion on this battle because I can't play it. I refreshed the page, clicked on the application, my soul just got stuck. These games are definitely cool, but they do demonstrate the limits of the Scratch engine. There's not much you can really do coding on Scratch as in comparison to other game engines. But I applaud the Scratch community though for pulling these battles off. The best I can do in Scratch is make it so that you can press go and the game actually loads. The next AU is definitely a popular one called Error Sans in a game called Undertale Battle Mode. It has a list of cool battles it looks like, but the main thing here is definitely Error Sans. I think he stepped on a Lego. Error Sans is basically a glitched version of the normal Sans battle, and Sans uses those glitches to go against you. Megalovania is glitched, the HUD is glitched. Basically, it's glitched. The fight itself, though, is definitely on the easier side. In fact, I think it's easier than the original Sans fight on Undertale. So, if you want to have an easy time instead of a bad time, I recommend checking out this battle here. The fight ended, though, before I could have the chance to react, and I couldn't tell if I actually died or if that's how the battle actually concluded, just because the glitchy game over screen I received. And of course, along with this fan game, we also have a version that scratches my head. There's a scratch version of Error Sans, and this one is actually pretty interesting. It starts you off with normal Sans, then you have to wait 50 minutes, and then there's an Error Sans jump scare. But that's not important here. How's the gameplay? Well, he just shoots a bunch of arrows at you, and I'm not talking about actual errors here, I'm talking about errors. But thank you all for watching, and check out my Deltarune Maker video.